Pied Piper of Hamelin. Once upon a time, on the banks of a great river in the north of Germany lay a town called Hamelin. The citizens of Hamelin were honest folk who lived contentedly in their gray stone houses. The years went by, and the town grew very rich. Then one day, an extraordinary thing happened to disturb the peace. Hamelin had always had rats, and a lot too. But they had never been a danger, for the cats had always solved the rat problem in the usual way by killing them. All at once, however, the rats began to multiply. In the end, a black sea of rats swarmed over the whole town. First, they attacked the barns and storehouses. Then, for lack of anything better, they gnawed the wood, cloth, or anything at all. The one thing they didn't eat was metal. The terrified citizens flocked to plead with the town councilors to free them from the plague of rats. But the council had, for a long time, been sitting in the mayor's room, trying to think of a plan. What we need is an army of cats. But all the cats were dead. We'll put down poisoned food then. But most of the food was already gone, and even poison did not stop the rats. It just can't be done without help, said the mayor sadly. Just then, while the citizens milled around outside, there was a loud knock at the door. Who can that be? The city fathers wondered uneasily, mindful of the angry crowds. They gingerly opened the door, and to their surprise, there stood a tall, thin man dressed in brightly colored clothes, with a long feather in his hat, and waving a gold pipe at them. "I've freed other towns of beetles and bats," the stranger announced, "and for 1,000 florins, I'll rid you of your rats." 1,000 florins, exclaimed the mayor. "We'll give you 50,000 if you succeed." At once the stranger hurried away, saying, "It's late now, but at dawn tomorrow, there won't be a rat left in Hamelin." The sun was still below the horizon when the sound of a pipe wafted through the streets of Hamelin. The Pied Piper slowly made his way through the houses, and behind him flocked the rats. Out they scampered from doors, windows, and gutters, rats of every size, all after the piper. And as he played, the stranger marched down to the river and straight into the water, up to his middle. Behind him swarmed the rats, and every one was drowned and swept away by the current. By the time the sun was high in the sky, there was not a single rat in the town. There was even greater delight at the town hall, until the piper tried to claim his payment. 50,000 florins, exclaimed the councilors. "Never! 1,000 florins at least," cried the Pied Piper angrily. But the mayor broke in. "The rats are all dead now, and they can never come back. So be grateful for 50 florins, or you'll not get even that." His eyes flashing with rage, the Pied Piper pointed a threatening finger at the mayor. "You'll bitterly regret ever breaking your promise," he said, and vanished. A shiver of fear ran through the councilors, but the mayor shrugged and said excitedly, "We've saved 50,000 florins." That night, freed from the nightmare of the rats, the citizens of Hamelin slept more soundly than ever. And when the strange sound of piping wafted through the streets at dawn, only the children heard it. Drawn as by magic, they hurried out of their homes. Again, the Pied Piper paced through the town. This time, it was children of all sizes that flocked at his heels to the sound of his strange piping. The long procession soon left the town and made its way through the wood and across the forest till it reached the foot of a huge mountain. When the piper came to the dark rock, he played his pipe even louder still, and a great door creaked open. Beyond lay a cave. In trooped the children behind the Pied Piper, and when the last child had gone into the darkness, the door creaked shut. A great landslide came down the mountain, blocking the entrance to the cave forever. Only one little lame boy escaped this fate. It was he who told the anxious citizens, searching for their children, what had happened. And no matter what people did, the mountain never gave up its victims. Many years were to pass before the merry voices of other children would ring through the streets of Hamelin, but the memory of the harsh lesson lingered in everyone's heart and was passed down from father to son through the centuries. The Lion and the Mouse. One day a lion lay asleep in the jungle. A tiny mouse, running about in the grass and not noticing where he was going, ran over the lion's head and down his nose. The lion awoke with a loud roar, and down came his paw over the little mouse. The great beast was about to open his huge jaws to swallow the tiny creature when, "Pardon me, O king, I beg of you," cried the frightened mouse. "If you will only forgive me this time, I shall never forget your kindness. I meant no harm, and I certainly didn't want to disturb your majesty. If you will spare my life, perhaps I may be able to do you a good turn, too." The lion began to laugh, and he laughed and laughed. "How could a tiny creature like you ever do anything to help me?" And he shook with laughter. "Oh well," he shrugged, looking down at the frightened mouse, "you're not so much of a meal anyway." He took his paw off the poor little prisoner, and the mouse quickly scampered away. Some time after this, some hunters, trying to capture the lion alive so they could carry him to their king, set up rope nets in the jungle. The lion, who was hunting for some food, fell into the trap. He roared and thrashed about trying to free himself, but with every move he made, the ropes bound him tighter. The unhappy lion feared he could never escape, and he roared pitifully. His thunderous bellows echoed through the jungle. The tiny mouse, scurrying about far away, heard the lion's roars. "That may be their very lion who once freed me," he said, remembering his promise. And he ran to see whether he could help. Discovering the sad state the lion was in, the mouse said to him, "Stop, stop. You must not roar. If you make so much noise, the hunters will come and capture you. I'll get you out of this trap." With his sharp little teeth, the mouse gnawed at the ropes until they broke. When the lion had stepped out of the net and was free once more, the mouse said, "Now, was I not right?" "Thank you, good mouse," said the lion gently. "You did help me even though I am big and you are so little. I see now that kindness is always worthwhile.